Hi, my name's Amber Price, and I am Kaylee Warren's mother. Kaylee was 6 years old when she woke up on Father's Day of 2012, and she was seeing double. She had been perfectly healthy up until that point. Your normal, happy 6-year-old little girl. I mean, she was had just finished kindergarten. And we were in that summer between kindergarten and first grade. Within a week, she had lost complete control of both of her eyes. We had taken her to the eye doctor the Monday following Father's Day, and the eye doctor was convinced it wasn't anything overly serious, but he wanted to do an MRI just to be safe. Within that week, she lost control of her eyes. She looked different. Things just weren't adding up. Her headaches were getting worse. And so we got the MRI moved up. And we went to Riley Children's Hospital on June 29th of 2012 in Indianapolis, Indiana. And it was at that point that they did a full body MRI and found out that she had diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma, also known as DIPG. And that started our nightmare. I mean, that was the day that everything changed. From there, it was a 5-day hospital stay immediately. We were told that day that she had 9 to 12 months. There was nothing they could do. We could try clinical trials, but there was no cure, and that we needed to focus on making memories. And of course, my family and I couldn't accept that. We had to fight. We had to know that we gave her everything we could. So we did start a clinical trial, and it seemed to work. It did amazing. That September, the tumor was almost gone. They couldn't hardly see any of it left. But by November, it had spread through her brain and down her spine. She had 8 new tumors in her brain and 37 tumors down her spine. She had lost the ability to walk at that point. But through the whole thing, she smiled. She always would reply that she was good anytime somebody asked her how she was. We did do a Make-A-Wish that September when she was still feeling pretty well. So, we got some amazing memories there. By November, when she couldn't walk and they had determined that it had spread, we were given the option to take her home and enjoy what would be our final days. They said that she probably would not make it to Christmas. There again, I couldn't accept that. She had fought so hard and come so far already that I decided we were going to continue to fight. We did a second round of radiation. So she had 54 radiation treatments total, but that did get us through Christmas. We ended up back in the hospital in February of the end of January in 2013. And that's where we stayed for the last 6 weeks of her life. The tumor had progressed and had taken over, and we lost her on March 19th, 2013, and she was 7. So, it's weird, like, to think that before Kaylee got sick, I never knew that kids got cancer. Like, I never realized that was even a thing. And it's been 7 years since I lost her. So she's been gone for as much time as I was lucky enough to have her. But I would not have traded a single moment that I had with her. She was the light of everyone's life that she came in contact with. I mean, she changed our entire community here. She has 2 little brothers that, now I guess they're bigger than her, but they were everything to her. And, we include her in everything. We make her a part of every day. And we just try to live by her philosophy of life. Like, she showed us what was important. She showed us strength, and she showed us bravery that I can't even put into words. And we just try to live to make her proud now, and to help other people that are forced on the battle that, you know, she was on, the journey that we've all dealt with.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I can only imagine how hard this must be, and you truly, she's an angel. Like, she has helped so many people, and I can only imagine, and I'm so sorry for your loss, but thank you so much for sharing your story. Now, I have a few questions to ask.
Okay. Yeah, so, I feel like I probably skipped a lot of things, and
no, your story actually answered a lot of them, so you're totally okay. So, what do you think is the most important thing for people to know when their child is diagnosed with DIPG?
I think that the most important thing is to never lose that hope. I mean, even when every doctor would look at us and tell me, you know, this is it, this is it, you know, and my family and I, we stayed strong. I mean, we stayed knowing that she would we believed that she would defy the odds, that she would, you know, receive the miracle that these kids so greatly deserve. When I feel like allowing yourself to believe that you can be that one person, you know, your child can beat the odds, allows your child to have that fighting spirit also. And Kaylee I mean, she suffered in the sense of, you know, the things the DIPG took from her, but she knew she was loved. She knew that we would do everything for her. Like, we had, you know, we were there with her 100%. And I think that that is what made it at least a little bit easier on her. And it's like, as a parent, I stand behind every decision I ever made when it comes to her treatments and stuff. And that's what you have to do. You make a decision in those moments that no parent should have to make. And whatever decision it is that you make is the right decision for you. Don't ever let anybody tell you otherwise.
So, how would you explain DIPG to people who don't know what it is?
The way I describe it is, in my opinion, it is a death sentence. It is an absolute worst case scenario. I actually give an award in Kaylee's memory to someone in her, they'll be freshmen this coming year, but every year it goes to somebody in their class. So I've had to explain it going from, you know, second grade, third grade. So each year I can get a little more in depth, and then with adults. But I mean, ultimately, it goes back to something I read a while back, and I actually used it in one of my speeches that I've done. And it's imagining being locked in your body, and, you know, your brain is still cognitively working. Everything works. It just isn't telling your body what to do. So it's hard to explain using words that aren't too harsh, but excuse me. DIPG is a childhood cancer that takes things away from the child one thing at a time. And so ultimately their bodies just can't take it anymore. But these children show us things that are far beyond their years. So I feel like DIPG is a death sentence, and DIPG is a terrible thing, but the kids that do go through it are wise beyond their years and stronger than anyone could ever imagine.
And one last question. What is any advice you have for anyone whose child's been diagnosed with DIPG or any brain tumor at all?
reach out to other families that have been through this. I know that that is we are a very hard reality to face for newly diagnosed families. And I was lucky with Kaylee's fight to come across a family that was local that had also traveled through it, but they were a huge help. And lean on your nursing staff at the hospital where your child's being treated at. There was one special nurse with Kaylee. There were multiple special nurses, but there was one that truly changed her life. And like, I will forever be grateful for the people that stood in our corner. Just remember, you're not alone. And I mean, I'm always even a phone call away. Like, my contact information's out there. I would be more than willing to help anyone through it. And remember that just because somebody else made a certain decision for their child, that's not necessarily the right decision for yours. And there's no right or wrong answers in treating this, or your faith or anything else. Like, do whatever you feel is best for your child in the moment, and that will help them through.
Thank you. You truly are amazing, and Kaylee is an angel. She really is. Like, just by hearing it, you can tell just how much of a light she was and just how happy she was. And I'm thankful that you were able to have that time with her. She really was a light.
I wouldn't trade a single moment I had with her. Not one.
Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
You're welcome.